Today is October 26, 2024. And before I start this video, please subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you a thing and it greatly helps me. And if you like this video, please click the like button. Now, for some reason last week, and they explained it to me and I still don't understand, Disney doesn't allow you to video record the Happiest Haunts Tour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a video of what happened during the tour. And it starts out in the guided tour area, and you go backstage where you get a photo op with the hitchhiking ghosts. More accurately, you get a photo op with Phineas, who's also known as the Traveler, and Gus, who's known as the Prisoner. Now, Phineas and Gus were, in the beginning, not named. They weren't actually given names until a cast member created a backstory called the Ghost Gallery. Ezra, who's the skeleton, he's the tall one, he was left out of the photo op. I'm gonna guess that he was left out because he was a little too tall. The photo op, the two ghosts are sitting on top of a table, and I'm guessing if they put Ezra on there, he'd probably be bumping the roof. Anyway, the photo op was pretty cool. You could hold like electronic candles, lanterns, a candelabra, and a lit up jack-o'-lantern, and they took your photo, and it actually looked pretty good. So that was a pretty cool part of the tour. All right, from the backstage area, we moved over to Town Square, and we got to hear an Irish folktale about Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was a blacksmith that tripped the devil to avoid going to hell, but because he wasn't a righteous man, he was excluded from heaven. When Jack asked how he was supposed to see which way to go through eternity, the devil tossed Jack a fairy coal, which Jack put into a carved turnip. When the folktale was taken to America, the turnips were swapped out for the more abundant pumpkin. And now we're going to go look and see if we can find some of the more unique carved pumpkins that are on Main Street. All right, to the left of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, in a window, there's actually a carved pumpkin of Abraham Lincoln. All right, the next pumpkin replica is of Elvis, and it is right above 20th Century Music Company. And if you look into one of the windows next to Market House, you will see Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast. The next stop on the tour was Main Street Cinema, where they discussed the relationship between Walt Disney and silent films, and specifically the tramp Charlie Chaplin. From Main Street Media, we traversed to Central Plaza with the Mickey and Walt statue, and it was discussed Walt's participation in Anaheim's Halloween parade in 1953 and 1954. The first event resembling Halloween was in 1959 with the Parade of Pumpkins. In 1995 and 96, Mickey's Halloween treat premiered in Disneyland, later returning to California Adventure in 2005, and eventually becoming the Oogie Boogie Bash, which is the current alliteration of the treat party. From Central Plaza, we moved into Tomorrowland, and the tours discuss rides that have passed away, or you could say rides of yesteryear, like Astro Jets, which was the rocket ride before Astro Orbiters. The base of it now resides in what used to be Red Rocket's Pizza Port and is now Alien Pizza Planet. Also, two rides here that are no longer with us, the People Mover and later on Rocket Rods. And Rocket Rods was particularly sad because it was a ride that was really good, but Imagineers could never get it to work right. From Tomorrowland, we headed to the Matterhorn bobsleds and discussed the many incarnations of the abominable snowman that resides within the Matterhorn, also known as Yeti, Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, depending on what part of the world you're in.
Able to with them marching this.
Next stop was Fantasyland, where we discussed everyone's favorite villains. It basically was just talking shop. The guide would ask everyone who their favorite villains are, and then we'd talk about them for a little bit. And that was about it. She also discussed some of the stories that Disneyed up to make them less frightening to children. Stories like Cinderella, where if you read the actual version, the stepsisters cut their toes off to fit into the slipper, or try to fit into the glass slipper, and there's other stories along that line. I think Snow White's original version is a lot more frightening. And now we'll be moving on. Alright, from Fantasyland we traversed through to basically the part that is between Fantasyland and Frontierland, and we had a short rest stop here. And then we discussed everything connected with Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, including the town of Rainbow Ridge. The town was prosperous because of gold strike, but the mountain was sacred to the Native Americans, and desecrating the mountain brought a curse on the town in the form of an earthquake, which befalls the town and the mine. This caused the town to be abandoned. Next to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, there is a bridge, and we stopped on this bridge so we could hear the legend of Sleepy Hollow, which involves Ichabod Crane, and the legend of the Headless Horseman, who was a Hessian who fought in the Revolutionary War and lost his head due to a cannonball. Nowadays, you can see the Headless Horseman during the Frightfully Fun Parade. He precedes it by about 5 minutes during the Oogie Boogie Bash in California Adventure. From the bridge, we crossed into Frontierland, and outside of Rancho del Zocala, there's a display for Dia de los Muertos, which translates into Day of the Dead. It was used as the theme for the movie Coco, which was a great movie. Recommend you see it if you haven't. And we also discussed Cucuy, which is the Spanish and Portuguese equivalent of the boogeyman. Next to the Golden Horseshoe and across from the shooting gallery, we have the Halloween tree. This is dedicated to Ray Bradbury, who wrote Fahrenheit 451, but specifically this dedication is to a lesser known book, The Halloween Tree, which was published in 1972. It looks a lot more impressive at night, believe me.
I can go over there.
The second to last stop on the tour was the Haunted Mansion, where the guy discussed the dueling concept for the ride and how many movies were made based on the attraction. Although her information about how many movies there were was inaccurate. She said there were 2, there's actually 3. Eddie Murphy starred in the 2003 version, a cast including Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Gerald Leto. Was produced in 2023, and there was a Muppets version in 2021. The dueling concepts regarding the ride were a concept of one being funny and the other one being more serious. So the compromise was to have the foyer and the attic be more scary, while the ballroom and the graveyard be a little bit more fun and humorous. The last stop on the tour was in front of Tiana's Palace, and if you look real close in the video, you can see her in the green dress standing there. And we were told about Mama Odie and the real-life voodoo queen of New Orleans, Marie Laveau, whom Mama Odie was based on. Laveau's grave is the most visited in New Orleans, and it's at this point we returned our hearing devices and received a themed tote, bag, collector pin, and trading cards, which I will show you in a minute. All right, here's the tag we were giving at the beginning of the tour. It's personalized with your name on it. And here is the Happiest Haunts limited pin and the trading cards. I haven't opened them. I'm not going to open them. And this is the back of the Halloween tote. And this is the front of it. It's a decent tote, decent size. We're getting good use out of it, so it's not too bad of a gift. In addition to the tour, you get a private viewing area for the fireworks. This is about the view we had. It's good for about 80% of the fireworks. You miss some of the fireworks because of mostly the trees you see on the left, and unfortunately you don't get to see the projection of Jack at all for the same reason. It was decent to good viewing. I've had better viewing just camping out, so I don't really know. I mean, is it worth the time to actually camp out, or was this better? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to judge that for yourself. Also, the last thing you're given is you're given a limited fast pass for 5 rides in the park. It's only good for that day. The rides include the Matterhorn, Star Tours, Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Because we really only needed one of the pins. Today, while I was wandering around shooting this video, I found a young girl, or more accurately, my wife found a young girl who was a pin collector, and we gave her one of the pins because it is a collectible pin and you can only get it while you're taking the tour or when you sign up for the tour. So, you know, you can't buy it. You could only get it on eBay if somebody was to sell it there or trade for it, but I imagine it'd be very hard to trade for. Final point is the tour is $120 per person. I'm not going to make a judgment call on if it was worth it or not. There were some interesting things. Now you can basically watch my video and judge on your own if it's worth it to you to take this tour. And we're going to wrap it up here. And like my father told me when I was 18 years old, get out.